come crochet this beautiful crochet tile with me.
Show me love.
What do you need to make this? You're going to need 3 colors. Could you use more? Absolutely. You know us. Use as many as you want. We're all for it. But what we did is we've repeated 2 kind of, you can think of them as like main colors, like a light gray, dark gray, light gray, dark gray. And then we used one kind of contrasting color, the cream, throughout to kind of tie it together. This is With Love by Red Heart using a 6mm hook, but you use whatever you want to get whatever you want. What we ended up doing is these end up being a 12 by 12 block. So it's a really nice size block. All right, let's dive deeper. You will not be surprised that the first thing I want to look at is the stitch diagram. And yes, if you're looking at this pattern, you're going, Robyn, come on. Like, even on camera, I can't see what's going on. Those are too many lines. Okay. I agree with you. There's a lot going on. There's 17 rounds. I hear you. You're not wrong. So let's just look at one little part, right? So I have blown up what we're going to be looking at today so we can see it nice and crisp and clear. And of course, did the same with our symbols. So as you can see, I always like looking at the symbol key because it's telling me what's happening without even looking at the pattern. I can see right away if there's a stitch I don't know. So the only 2 that you may not be familiar with is this 3rd loop that's going on that we have down here. And what that's all about is what I said is just the maybe new to you place that you're going to stick your hook. And we'll talk a lot about that. And maybe you haven't done back post single crochet in a while. So we get to do that too, which is always fun. I will let you know there's very little back post single crochet in this. Pretty much after the 2nd round, you're not doing it. So all the rest of these is what the whole project is made out of. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double, double, treble. That all sounds great, right? Those are all things you can do. Which is perfect. The one different thing you'll find is that the rounds are done in their colors. So normally when we do rounds, let me go back to here, we would do like every other round as a color. But you can see when you get further out, sorry, this was upside down for you. When you get out for 6 and 7, that they have 2 rounds in the same color. And what's happening is, so instead of looking at this as, odd, even, which they are, they're more describing this uses color C, then the next 2 rounds use color A, the following one use C. It's doing it for color for you. So I just wanted to make that clear because it can get confusing if you're used to only using one color. And having that, like just knowing that little information to like jump off on the page, I find for me really helps me read the pattern so much better. But that's enough of that. Let's get crocheting. So we're going to start at the very center and we're going to make our cute little flower. So let me bring back. And it's a little hard on camera because this is cream and it's blending out. Let me show you my swatch. I did not care what colors I was using. So yes, it's all, I will let you behind on my crazy process. Sometimes I use primary colors before I figure out what colors I want a project to be, and let my brain figure out the stitches. So this is what I used to figure out the stitches. And then I made this one with the colors that I actually want. I know, behind the scenes, crazy. But we're going to start with this cute little flower. And you can see that this flower doesn't repeat anywhere. So what we're going to do here is just for the beginning, and then what we do for the rest of it will end up repeating. Perfect. For us, I'm going to use a slightly thinner yarn than the With Love, just so we can see it on camera so it doesn't get so big you can't even follow along with what I'm doing. All right, to get started, it tells us to chain 4 and make a ring. So that's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Now slip stitch to the first one to make a ring. So this is a very tiny ring. It looks like a little bit of nothing. When you make rings like this, sometimes it's easier to kind of pull it apart almost. You can see my thumbnail, my nail coming right through, just so you can see a little bit better of where we're going to be sticking all these stitches. All right, next part is to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we will slip stitch into the center of this ring. Once you slip stitch into it once or work into it, it starts to work out pretty well. What happens is it obviously it loops. What's gonna be is the first 3 of that beginning chain count as your double crochet, and the last 3 count as your chain space. So if we look at, I'll put the flower here so you can see. If we look at it, basically we've done half of one of these petals. So here on out, we're going to repeat these stitches to make the remaining petals. It'll be chain 3, double crochet, that's where you yarn over, insert your hook in the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 3, slip stitch into the ring. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through that loop on your hook. And that's really what one petal looks like. This is, you can think of just like half of a petal. So we repeat these directions here 2 more times to make the upper 2 petals. So we'll go ahead and do that.
Hey, this is Marley. I'm just jumping in as I'm editing this video to let you know that I'm going to leave her crocheting these petals in right now, even though she's not talking. So that way you can see 100% how they are completed. She's going to start talking here in just a minute to talk you through how to complete these.
And you'll notice whenever you're working in a ring, it's like I don't have any more room, right? It looks like it's all smushed together. Don't worry if you think you've done something wrong. You've done nothing wrong. Just slide your stitches a little bit so you have a little bit more room. That tail is frustrating. Just move it to the side for right now. Don't worry about it. And now we have a place to put our last double crochet. Chain 3, slip stitch back into the ring. So it looks like we're almost done, but this actually needs one last thing to be finished off, and that is another chain 3, and then you're going to slip stitch to the top of this curve and around the 3rd chain. So if you got the 4th chain by accident, it doesn't matter. The 3rd or 4th chain, right? So you're at the top of this beginning chain. You're going to slip stitch to it, and now you can see, yeah, all finished off. If this tail drives you crazy, weave them in as you go, because sometimes having all these extra tails can get frustrating. I don't blame you. Now, round 2. So if I go back to my stitch diagram, you will not be surprised. Round 2, we change color, first and foremost, because we're going from color C to a color A. So we are going to change our color, and this is where we're going to start using our back post single crochet. Now, first thing to note is there's actually 2 rounds here. So these half doubles are in round 3, not round 2. This round 2 is just a setup round. You don't even see it when you're crocheting. So it's just a setup round so that round 3, we can put all of these half doubles going all the way around. So let's take a look at how to do this. You're going to join your color. And for me, just because I know we will be going over this and we won't see, like, the join won't matter where the color is coming, all I'm going to do is fold in my new color. and pull through. I'm going to pull the old color tight down below, and I'm just going to chain 1 to lock it in place. That's all I'm doing to do the join. If you want to do your join down here in your slip stitch, so if I pull this out, if you want to instead insert your hook, then fold over your new color, pull through so that it is ready to go that way, that's fine too. But I'm just letting you know, for this little tiny bit, it won't matter. So don't stress yourself out about exactly how you are joining that new color. What we're going to be doing is going into the back post of all of these center stitches. So all of those double crochets we're going to do in the back post. What the back post means is that you insert your hook from the back across the post of the stitch and into the back again. So that's how you insert your hook. Now, I'm going to show you the way I like to do it, which is a little odd. So if this is confusing and you don't like it, just do it the more conventional way. That's totally fine. And we only have 4 back post single crochets in the whole project, so it's not like this is going to matter that much. But what I like to do is I like to flip over my work, which I know is weird. But I'll flip it over so it's on the back side. And what I'll do is I'll actually put the stitch on my hook. So if you think about it, it's like I'm doing a front post stitch now because I've turned it over. And I'll look at my work this way. And sometimes I do this when I'm doing back posts only, just so I can see what I'm doing easier, and I tend to find that I go faster. So all you're doing is you're inserting your hook. Now we're looking at the front, from the front to the back to the front. Or look at it as I put the middle stitch on my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Then chain 3. Let me show you that again. Put the middle stitch on my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. As it wants to pop off, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 3. Now let me show you the more conventional way. Insert your hook from the back, across the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. It seats the position, it seats the stitch the exact same way. Nothing's different. It's just doing it this way. I find it's harder for me to see sometimes versus laying it down and doing it this way. I can just see what I'm doing better. But you do you. All right. So to finish it off, chain 3. Give us a little bit more yarn. And we get a round to the beginning. And we slip stitch to join to get back to the beginning. And as you can see, this is the end of round 2. And doesn't look like anything on this side, right? It looks like nothing. But on this side, if we move our tails out of the way, we have a little network, a little box that we can work all of those half doubles. All right, so round 3 is like your fun round. You'll have these rounds all throughout this project where all you're doing is half doubles. There's no weird stitches. There's nothing else going on. You're just going to be putting half doubles across. So what we're going to be doing is putting 5 half doubles in each of these chain 3 spaces. Very fun. Half double is where you yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. These are nice because they are nice setups. There's nothing overwhelming in these rounds. It's what can be like, get you back to center. So don't worry about how wonky one row was before, because this can kind of clean everything up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1. So the chain 1 will be our corners. They're nice of having this flower here because the flower will point to your corner so you can see where the hole was that you made. Now for most of our rounds, not every single one, and it'll tell you, we're going to be doing all of our stitches in the third loop. Some people call this third loop that we're going to be going into the middle bar or the back bar. They call it lots of different things, and whatever you call it, all that it means is that it is the yarn over is creating a space for us that we'll be able to put our hook later. So if we watch, we yarn over hook, insert, pull up, and I'm going to look at the back of the loop. So follow your eyes, follow this yarn over. So I yarn over, pull through, and what happens is this was the yarn over. And that line that you see is our third loop. That's where we're going to be inserting our hook on the next round. So if I look at it this way, these are my top 2 loops. And that line that was created by that yarn over, that's our third loop. That's where we'll be putting all of our stitches. And that's what gives the whole look of this tile, is by utilizing that space. All right. We get back around, and now, you know, it looks like something else, right? It's starting to be something else. Chain 1, and then when we get back to the beginning, it tells us to join. Now, there's a couple options that you have, but let's pause for a second and look. And so now it looks like we put a nice little circle around our flower. When you're joining half doubles or the doubles or anything else you have some options. What you can do is you can slip stitch to the first half double, change your yarn, and go on your way. What I like to do when I'm doing it in the third loop is I like to join by threading my free loop through my first stitch. I just find it gives a cleaner look. So this is just an option if you want. What I'll do is I'll insert my hook from the back just so that I can pop my free loop on and pull that through my first loop. So it just gives a clean join that way. But feel free to slip stitch and change it in the other way if you would like. Now I'm going to bring up from the bottom my previous color. And again, I'm going to pull my green nice and taut so it is out of the way. And now we're ready for round 4. Okay, round 4 is where we start utilizing the third loop that we were looking at just a tiny bit, but now we'll look at it a whole bunch. And all that it is that you're going to be putting a half double in the third loop all the way across. And then when you get to the corner, you'll be doing a half double, chain 1, half double, which will make our 4 corners. So let's take a deep dive into what that looks like. All right, like we were saying, these are our top 2 loops, and we don't want to go in those. We want to be going in these third loops that are run on the back side of our work. So all that you're doing is you're going to leave these top 2 loops alone. So you know you have your front loop and your back loop. Don't go in those. You're just inserting your hook in the third loop. So all of these are the third loop. the ones in the back. The ones when you're looking at it right in this direction, those are your back loop. Your front loop is sitting under here. So this loop is the loop that you want to go into. Do a regular half double. There's nothing different there. So yarn over, insert your hook into the third loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. So again, yarn over, insert your hook into the third loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. When you're done, you have your top 2 loops sitting real pretty. That's what's giving us the texture. That's what this whole motif is based on. So working in this back bar, middle bar, third loop, however you would like to call it, it's mainly meaning work something in the back of the stitch that is not the top 2 loops. Doesn't matter where you're really sticking your hook as long as you're not sticking it in the top 2 loops. It's kind of like stick it in any strand. What's nice is when we work these half doubles, our yarn overs are sitting out really tall and really pretty. They're really easy to go into. It's really easy to grab that strand and go into them. That's why I like using half double so much, because it gives you a really natural, easy way to stick your hook. It's always hard when you have to kind of dig your hook in there. But any stitch taller than a half double has a third loop. So it's pretty much anything that has a yarn over has a third loop. It will have a horizontal bar back here that you can go into. And that concept is what makes this square. So sometimes you'll be going into the third loop of a half double. Sometimes it'll be a double crochet. It'll never be a single crochet because they don't have a yarn over. So it's inserting your hook anywhere in the back. And you can see, don't worry if your flower keeps tucking under. It's going to pop out eventually as we go because we won't be manipulating it as much. But what happens is that you have your top 2 loops sticking out. It looks like really defined and crisp. And then your corners bring that color down. So it kind of plays with where your color is going. You'll notice that when I'm doing this, once again, it's almost like when I do the back post, I'm turning my work so I can see where I'm going on the back. I'm not relying just on the feel. I'm turning my work down so I can see where to insert my hook as I go. All right, we get back around to the beginning. Before I join, let's take a pause and take a look. So now kind of that round is highlighted a little bit and it's slightly starting to become a square a little bit. We're back around. So once again, it's time to join. I'm going to insert my hook from the back, bring that free loop and pop it through the front. Change my color. Pull the old one tight. Chain 1 to lock in the new one. All right, now, last time looking at our stitch diagram, seeing what's happening on this round, we are back to the green color. And again, we have the little third loop symbol. So that means that we're going in the third loop. What you're going to be doing is having a half double again in all of along the edges. We're still going to be doing the half double chain, half double in the corners. But what we have differently that's going on is the last little bit that you really need to know for this is to make those V's that pop out, is we will be chaining something and then slip stitching 1 stitch down. And what we're doing is we're utilizing those free loops that are just hanging out. We're utilizing them for what we want them for. So if we look on our motif again, this is the part that we're working on. So we're working on this little section. So we're going to be doing these V's. So we're going to be transforming this into almost like a big petal by doing a V going down. So you're bringing your color back to where it was before. All right, so let's do a little bit of the crocheting so you can see how it works. Again, we're doing in the third loop. So I'm going to flip over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Again, it's still all half doubles. You can do any stitch in these third loops. That doesn't matter. It's just making sure you're inserting your hook in the third loop. So you do your first 2 half doubles. Then you chain 3. Now it says insert your hook into the next half double, 1 row below, and in its top 2 loops. So we're going to insert our hook. I'm doing it from the bottom to the top, just through those top 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through, then pull through the loop on my hook. So I'm slip stitching to those top 2 loops. Chain 3. I skip the next half double and put a half double in the 3 that are remaining till I get to my corner. Then a half double, chain 1, half double for my corner. Let's do a little bit more so we can see that slip stitch again. So I'm going to put 3 half doubles, then chain 3, and we're going to do it once again in the next half double, 1 row below. And we're going to be inserting our hook through these top 2 loops that are not being used. So I'm inserting my hook just into those top 2 loops. I went from the bottom to the top, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I pull through the loop on my hook. That made my slip stitch. Chain 3, skipped 1 on the back, and then half double in the 3rd loop behind. So when you pause and you take a look, you can really see how that creates the petal and how it brings the color down. It's bringing the color down into what we're doing. So those secrets, those are it. That's what you need for our beautiful tile, is working in the 3rd loop. You'll get really good at it because you're going to be doing it all the way around. And then, of course, all of these little V's, all of these that add just a tiny bit of texture, is doing a slip stitch into all of these free loops that are right there, perfect to drop your color down into.
Show me love.